You can use some of Illustrator's path combining and editing tools to turn simple shapes you've created earlier into something different looking. And one of the tools that we can use for this is the Pathfinder panel that we can access from the Window menu. Now, to use the Pathfinder, you must first select the objects to which you want to apply some of the Pathfinder settings. In this case, I want to combine a number of shapes created earlier into a single path. To do that, I must select all of the objects that I want to combine, and I do that by pressing the Shift key on the keyboard and clicking the objects I'd like to combine with the selection tool. If I deselect this for a second, you can also click, drag a marquee with the selection tool around the objects that you'd like to select. That's often a little quicker. Now, as soon as you've got multiple objects selected, you can use some of the align settings that appear in the control panel to align objects. For instance, these two I would like to vertically align at the top. And now let's select all of the objects and combine these by clicking the Unite button in the Shapes Mode section of the Pathfinder. And we've created a single path out of 4 original paths. Here's another example. Want to punch a hole into this triangle that has the shape of a star. In this case, the star is the topmost object, and we can click the minus front button in the shape mode. Let's close the Pathfinder. Illustrator also contains a shape tool that allows us to easily combine or erase paths. Now, in this case, I've created a number of lines that are overlapping. If I click drag across objects, you'll see nothing happens. Why not? Because first of all, we need to select all of these objects. Because I've already got the tool selected, I want to temporarily access the selection tool. I do that by pressing the Command or Control key on the keyboard, and I can now click, drag, and my key around these lines. As soon as I release that key on the keyboard, I'm back with my Shape Builder tool. If I now click and drag across these objects, you can see that it starts to merge them. It's as if they behave as individual shapes. Now, to remove components, press the Option or Alt key on the keyboard and just drag across the paths that you'd want to remove. And you end up with a beautiful looking zigzag shape for the Ocean's Blue logo. Some of the commands in the Effects menu also allow us to change the appearance of simple shapes. Let's have a look at what we can do to this ellipse. Under the Effects menu, we have access to a Distort and Transform submenu. The Zigzag menu here allows you to apply zigzags to a shape, either in a smooth form or corner form. Select the preview box to preview what you're doing with the settings here. Let's reduce the size to make it a little less spiky and increase the number of segments I want to see across this path. And we've now almost got a squashed star shape without using the star tool. You can also turn that into smooth points and it appears a little bit more rounded. There are also some commands that we can use to edit paths and shapes. For instance, let's take this rectangle here. I'd like to chop that into a number of columns and rows. To do that, we can use the Objects Path split into grid feature. I can set the number of rows and the number of columns, and to preview this, once again select the preview option. To space things out a bit, increase the gutter. Then click OK, and there's your grid. Another command that we find under here is the divide objects below command. If I select this topmost object, I can use it as if it were a cookie cutter that cuts through all of the layers or all of the objects underneath it. Object, path, divide objects below. That means I can now select those individual objects, and if I want to, change the color of those, like so. So there you have some simple techniques that you can use to combine and edit previously drawn shapes and make them look like something totally different.